Matthew, Assad has landed in Russia. What does this mean for the Syrian rebels?
Bridget, good morning. It means that the rebels have been able to achieve their goal, which is to get rid of Bashar al-Assad and to topple his regime. It was a swift, it was a startling and quite surprising final push on the Syrian capital, Damascus, happening in the early hours of this morning, local time. It's now almost a full day since we have heard that the Syrian rebel forces were advancing on Damascus and preparing to take control of the capital city. And it caps off what has been only about a week or so of very intense fighting, but fighting that has led to the very quick capture of a number of key cities throughout the country, starting with Aleppo in the north of Syria, the second largest city in the country, heading down a highway through the cities of Hama and Homs before getting into Damascus. And there was one plane spotted in Syrian airspace as those rebel fighters started to encircle Damascus, and that is believed to be the plane which has now deposited Bashar al-Assad and members of his family in Russia, where the Russian government has given them humanitarian asylum there. So this has been a very significant change. It is a seismic shift for a country that has been going through a civil war for some 13 years. Hundreds of thousands of people have been killed through the course of this fighting, and now the answers will be, or the questions rather will be, the answers aren't exactly there, the questions will be how this country moves on from this moment. What sort of role will these rebel fighters led by the group HTS, which is designated as a terrorist organisation by many countries including Australia, how will a group like that try to enforce its ideology and its will on the Syrian people and any future Syrian government? These are all questions that remain unanswered, and certainly many people still trying to get their heads around what has actually happened in Syria, because, as I mentioned, and it's a couple of words that we continue to hear throughout the course of this conflict and these developments, this has happened incredibly quickly, and now everyone's trying to get a hold on what this will mean for not only Syria but for the region. Bridget?
Well, that's right. It's such a momentous time in the region. How's Israel responded, Matt?
We've seen a very quick response too from the Israeli government and the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He's made a trip to the occupied Golan Heights, an area that is disputed territory that Israel has been occupying for many years, along with his IDF chief. And he's been talking about what he sees as a potential threat now that Bashar al-Assad's regime has been toppled. He is certainly saying Israel is happy to see the back of Bashar al-Assad, but he is saying that there could be a level of chaos which ensues in Syria as different groups try to lobby for influence and for interest, and that could pose a security threat to Israel. What we have seen from the IDF is a decision to push into Syria's territory, into this area that's often referred to as the buffer zone, somewhere that an area of land in between Syria and the Israeli occupied Golan Heights, or on the Syrian side of that border, with the IDF taking control of a number of positions in that area. Benjamin Netanyahu explaining what he saw as the threat in this video, which was posted by his office a short time ago.
One of them is the collapse of the Separation of Forces Agreement from 1974 between Israel and Syria. This agreement held for 50 years. Last night it collapsed. The Syrian army abandoned its positions. We gave the Israeli army the order to take over these positions to ensure that no hostile force embeds itself right next to the border of Israel. This is a temporary defensive position until a suitable arrangement is found.
That's Benjamin Netanyahu there, and he says this is temporary, but there will already be people questioning Israel's motives here, whether or not it is taking advantage of a situation, hitting a neighbour and trying to enforce its own agenda in this part of the world. But certainly the questions from here are exactly how Syria can recover from this brutal and bloody war, and how it can emerge into a new era under new leadership after more than half a century of rule by the Assad family. Bridget?
Incredible scenes. Matthew Doran, thanks very much.